If you ask any of the 90 lawmakers what my big thing is, they'll tell you it's education. I got on the Mesa School Board because of my 7 kids and ended up loving it. Very, very passionate about it. The reason being our competitiveness is determined by our education. And in addition, the only way out of poverty, extreme circumstances, really is going to be education. You've got to improve your lot in life through education. So that is easily what I'm most passionate about down there. I oversee the Senate Education Committee, used to be the House Education Chair, K-12, colleges, universities. And so I spend 90% of my time there. I am the only CPA in the legislature, so I spend the other 10% in appropriations, budget, finance, Joint Legislative Audit Committee, things like that. But we do some really, really dumb things in education. And here's how it ties into small business. I need qualified, competent employees, just like everybody else says. I need someone, you've got your basic skills. You need to make sure they're going to show up on time and that they have the, the good communication skills. But then, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it goes up from there. I need to make sure I have employees who can think on their own. Especially, I have a very unique problem. I leave my company for 5 to 6 months a year, and I'm in the office about 3 to 4 hours a week total when the Senate's in session. Very, very difficult situation to be in. Given that, okay, I need the $24,000, that's nice. You get that for the Senate. That's not going to pay for 7 kids in college. So you have to have another company. I need to have people that I can rely on who need very little direction, who literally can work on their own, who can tackle a problem and say, okay, what should I do next? No problem. I have a whiteboard, and they'll write things on the whiteboard. Hey, Rich, what do you think about this? And then I'll come in at night during session, and I'll write little answers underneath it, because we have very, very little face time. The Senate is very, very time consuming. So here's some of the dumb things we do in education. When do we give our high school graduation exam in Arizona? Anyone know? 10th grade. 10th grade. What do we call it? Ames exam. Do most kids pass it the first time? Yes, they do. And it's funny because we don't think so. They do. Over 80% pass it the first time. So here's the problem we've created for ourselves, and here's how it trickles down to affect small business. We give our graduation exam sophomore year, and almost everybody passes it. Talk about a recipe for disaster. So what do we do junior, senior year? Everyone coasts except one group. There's one group that doesn't coast. And I have a feeling, based on what I've heard so far, we've got many in that group right here. Who doesn't coast junior, senior year? Okay. Yes, but why are they going to college? Because mom or dad told them they're going to college. Who wants to sign up for Calculus BC on their own? Mom said, hey, you know what? You need to take some AP classes to get ready for college and get college credit. And it's funny, if a parent is engaged, it doesn't matter if they're low income, single mom, it doesn't matter. They will rise to the occasion. I'm going to just, real quick, let me just show you one thing. I am. Thank you. Let me go one this way. Here is the direct result of us giving graduation exams sophomore year and then everybody passing it. We are lowest in the nation of any state. And this is, you know how we say, oh, we're lowest in funding, things like that? This is not subjective. This is completely objective. There is zero argument nationwide about these numbers I'm showing you. We do not take the SAT or the ACT in Arizona, because we do not go to college in Arizona. That was fine. I grew up in Safford. When you graduated from high school in Safford, you had 2 great opportunities waiting for you. You could go to Morenci and work for Phelps Dodge at the time, or we have 3 great prisons down in Safford. You could work there. Hey, right out of high school, you're making $14 to $18 an hour. Why on earth would I need to go to college? Or you come up to the valley, like I did, and you work in home construction for the summer before I started college. That's not available anymore. Plus, that will not keep us competitive with the rest of the world. I have another chart that I use in a presentation showing how we were, 25 years ago, we were #1 in English, math, and reading worldwide. We're now 14th, 16th, and 23rd in those categories. We keep losing almost 1 spot per year to other countries because we're kind of idle there. I could go on for a whole nother hour and a half with some really cool stuff, but that's a big problem. I raised $1 million to give 40,000 kids the ACT over the last 3 years to prove that we're not on the right path. It was very interesting, the results, because what happens when all of a sudden you give a college entrance exam to kids who pass their 10th grade, really it's the end of 9th grade year if you look at it. What do you think happened that first year we gave the ACT? It was a freaking nightmare. But the 8 superintendents who agreed, it was 12,000 kids the first time. The 8 superintendents who did knew what they were going to get. And they said, you know what, I would rather know what I don't know so that I can improve on it. Phoenix Union tied Detroit. You know, I lived there for 2 years in Detroit. The worst 2 school districts in America, Detroit and Washington, D.C., and yet we tied them in ACT. Phoenix Union is the highest funded school district in Arizona, highest paid teachers in Arizona, and yet their test scores tied Detroit. So the dots have not been connecting. So for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been doing some incredible things, nationwide leading, and only a few people know about it. And I'll tell you about one of them here in just a minute because it's right here in Gilbert, that one of the coolest things in education is happening this next year.